everyone? It is Saturday, June 7th, 2025. Uh, I just made my video yesterday mentioning how for the past few days I've slipped up from me being a carnivore to eating other things, which goes against me being a carnivore. Now, I told everyone I was going to get back on track. Uh, it does really feel defeating to admit, but I'm gonna be honest about it because I slipped up again. Now, yesterday I made the video like mid afternoon, and then I went line dancing, and then afterwards, me and my lady went to Denny's, and I slipped up there. You know, had some pancakes. Um, so yeah, that I'm not I'm not the most upset about my slip ups rather than I am going against my own word on I'm a carnivore. I no longer eat plants, junk, or carbs. Now, I think that my slip ups, again, as I mentioned, the one from last night and the slip up I had today, both, we're still, I feel like a nerd and I feel like I'm making up excuses when I'm saying this shit, but I made sure to at least earn my damage. Now, I mentioned how the other day, it was Wednesday, I went on the hike, ate my meal, and thought, fuck it, it's my day off and I'm not doing anything for the rest of the day. I'll just eat the bananas, they're about to go bad. Okay? Completely calculated, I did some activity earlier in that day for a few hours, came back home, ate what was important, which was, had, I don't know if it was almost a couple pounds of ground beef or steaks. I don't know which day I had which, but topped off on that, and then it's not fuck it. It's my day off, and I'm doing nothing for the rest of the day. Like, I'm sure I'd be fine to slip up and it not affect me for the next day. The next day I woke up just fine. The next day I had a little slip up, but it didn't affect me at all. Like, it was one banana, and it was after my workout, and after I'd eaten a couple pounds of meat after the workout. So again, calculated. Now, yesterday, what was it? My main goal for yesterday was to. It's kind of weird because, like, in my mind, I'm in that mode of, like, oh, I slipped up, might as well indulge, which I'm not gonna do, but I am slipped up from my carnivore way, and I thought maybe, again, it's just an excuse, honestly. I was like, maybe if I experiment and try to at least discipline myself with, I can eat whatever, remove the title of being a carnivore, eat whatever, but but eat whatever, but try to earn the damage or work off the damage after. That in and of itself is still improvement from where I am at baseline. Now, becoming a carnivore and eating once, twice a day, that's like the maximum improvement I think I could do dietary wise. And I feel amazing for the 2 to 3 weeks that I could stick to it. And I wish I could just get on it and stick to it forever. And honestly, maybe right now I could just stop being a pussy and just get right back on it and continue. Which, I would like to do that. Of course, in my mind, I'm iffy of it just because I'm like iffy on whether I could stick to it or not. especially because of the fact that, after my slip ups, I didn't feel bad about them whatsoever. I did a little bit, and I felt like, maybe I'm making up excuses. But when I made the video and I was honest about my slip ups, I was, I had like almost no shame whatsoever. It was just, I slipped up. They were calculated. Like, I knew exactly what I was eating. I knew exactly how I was gonna feel after eating those things that, you know, I know I don't feel best eating. And I made sure to time them properly. So I personally felt proud of myself for even taking the discipline to be that calculated with those decisions. And that's why I didn't feel bad about it whatsoever. Now, last night it was pretty much the same thing. Like yesterday, I had, what was it? A chicken sandwich. So it was like, a couple chicken pieces on a bun with a couple like sauces, which, bread, like big no. Um, maybe it's okay to get away with a little bit of plant material as a carnivore. I'm not gonna get into arguments or get nitpicky about that. I think it's not the worst thing in the world. It goes against what I said. I was gonna try to avoid plant material. You Again, I would be picky about seasonings if I like went out and ate somewhere. But yeah, I ate that, and then I made the video after that. I was like, I slipped up. I'm honest. I didn't feel too bad about it whatsoever. I feel more bad than anything. The fact that I said it earlier, the fact that I went against my own word. I don't feel as bad about the slip ups. I feel more so like, fuck, I went against my word. And I know, if I was telling myself these things, I just got out of the shower, so my hair's still fucking wild. If I was just telling myself these things, of course I'd feel shameful to myself. But it's the fact that, um, I'm recording here for YouTube and telling the world, like, hey, I'm a carnivore. I'm gonna go. I'm a carnivore officially now. I'm no longer eating anything else. That's it. Final decision. Go. Now, I could also view the positive side of, like, hey, I slipped up. I went against my own word, and I mean that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I did yesterday. I slipped up a couple of times. Went against my word. Uh, but it's not the the first video I made yesterday. I didn't feel too bad. I was proud of myself for just acknowledging and being careful with the timing of my slip ups. But right now, it's a true feeling of like, oh shit, okay, I really did fuck up this time, and I kind of had no reason to fuck up because I told you guys I was gonna get back on track, and I slept up again. Last night Denny's pancakes, and today I ate fish tacos from work. There was an extra on the side. I just thought, fuck it, I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat it. Now I could try to explain my calculations, which could just be excuses, but again, still improvement from where I was at before I started being a carnivore. Last night, it was after line dancing, so I was active for 3 hours straight. I was I'm dancing. We went to Denny's and we got pancakes, but I also got like eggs and bacon and sausage. So me being me and trying to counteract the damage I'm gonna do to myself. I knew I was active, but I also knew I'm before I even get into these pancakes, I'm gonna eat as much of the protein as I can. I scarfed down the eggs and bacon and sausage. Made sure that went down to me. Not only to, prioritize the protein intake, but also to, with it going in first and then the carbs following, it's going to slow down the digestion of those carbs. So I was calculated there today. While I didn't really prioritize eating any sort of protein before the fish tacos, but the fish tacos are protein. Well, the the fish fillet itself is. The rest of it's all plant material. It's fucking tortilla and coleslaw and fried fish for that matter. So like that's the worst of the worst fried food with the breading on the outside. So, but I did eat a little bit of protein before, but I made sure that I ate it at the end of my shift. Now my biggest problem has not honestly been what I've eaten, but when I've eaten. It's more so I don't honest. I feel the best when I'm a carnivore. I do. Like when I'm a carnivore, I am eating once or twice a day, no snacking. Like that's my peak. Like that's when I have again my most cognitive function, when I have the most physical energy, best sleep. I feel stable throughout the day. That's when I could push myself super hard physically. My gym gains just skyrocket. Uh, but and I definitely don't feel my best when I eat other foods. But I do gotta say that no matter what I'm eating, if I'm gonna be truly honest, no matter what I'm eating, I never feel too terrible if it's timed properly. Now, I work in a restaurant, and me being addicted to food the way I am, whenever I make these commitments to carnivore, I make sure my mind is absolutely set on it because I know that when I'm in the kitchen, everything's gonna be tempting, especially because I only, whenever I do carnivore, I do it for a couple weeks or 3 weeks at a time, that's just enough time to get rid of cravings, and that's also like just whenever I slip up every time. So I know that while I'm in the kitchen, I'm gonna be craving, and usually to ensure that I'm kind of keeping my cravings suppressed, I'm always snacking, but I'm only like snacking on like pieces of like meat that were chopped up, or like cheese that's sitting in the like garnishing cheese. Like I just will snack on whatever is like dairy or like extra like meat is like what I'll snack on. But my my biggest problem is the fact that I've been snacking at work so consistently that I'll feel uncomfortable for my whole shift at work. Now, even as a carnivore, it's uncomfortable as hell to, just be constantly nibbling and constantly digesting, even though it feels way better to digest animal foods than it does anything else. It's still uncomfortable to be digesting, and the fact that I'm giving myself that little taste for dopamine, that's all my brain gets set on. So yes, that's basically cravings. Like when I eat, it just gets set on eating, and it distracts me and makes me unable to focus. Now, of course, if I take like one nibble and it's like that, I'll just, within a few minutes, I'll just be okay. And my mind's set back on work mode and I'm locked in. But that's what it does to me. Snacking, even as a carnivore at work, it makes it hard for me to lock in. And even as a carnivore, when snacking and doing all that shit, it's like I still perform way better than when I'm eating junk. But again, it's a spot I'd like to get myself out of anyway, and that's why I'm trying to view the positive of this whole thing. Now, I went against my own word. It was 3 weeks ago, almost 4 now. I was like, I'm, becoming a carnivore, only eating animal foods, no longer eating plants, carbs, or junk, and I ended up slipping up a little over 3 weeks in, which that goes against my word. But you know what? I felt okay about it just because I had gone a number of days I'd never gone before without eating other things and keeping consistent with eating only animal foods. So I was proud of that. But as I've been repeating myself a million times now, I'm proud of how calculated I was with my slip ups, which I'm usually not. I usually like when I slip up, I usually just like I eat something and I just keep eating it. This time it's like I'm like, okay, what am I gonna be doing to counteract this damage before I even damage, and or what am I gonna do after? So like, of course, the day of the hike, we went on a hike. It was a day off. I ate my main meal. I ate a bundle of bananas. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Um, at work, I made it a goal to myself to just not eat during the entire shift, not even snack. Obviously, if I were to make like or prep something, I would allow myself to taste test it, or if there were like things that maybe I had to taste test every once in a while, sure, I would take one bite, just taste test, right? But I did that successfully. Now my thing was I just challenged myself to not eat during the whole shift, and if I were to eat, it would be during a break. Now, it got to the point where I was so hungry, and my buddy made his chicken sandwich special, so I thought I gotta at least try it to be courteous. Now, I could have made a good decision and just taken a bite, but I ended up just being like, I'm gonna eat the whole thing. And I was not on my break, so I thought, okay, I've taken a couple bites now. I asked permission to go on break, and I did. So again, was calculated with that. I made sure to go on my break to eat the sandwich, and I did. And I didn't eat for the whole rest of the shift, so I was like, wow, I'm proud of myself for keeping myself limited in that way. Because for me, I'm not like a just have one and be good kind of guy. As these series of slip ups over these past 4 days have explained, it's more of I have one turns to some turns to all, and that's why right now I'm not only feeling like, oh shit, I fucked up because I went against my word, but I'm like, I know I want to stay consistent as a carnivore, like a full carnivore, because I know that how I feel as a carnivore, like there's nothing else no, nothing else in a dietary sense that compares, right? Like when I'm eating only animal foods, it's like I'm in ketosis. So, I got the ketones running through me, give me all the stamina and the energy and cognitive function and mood and like the stability of those things. And then it just being strictly animal foods is nice because when I eat plant material, it bloats me and I get physically uncomfortable. Animal foods don't do that to me, so that's why being a carnivore is perfect. But I know that for me, being the way I am, one turns to some turns to all. I've been slipping up for 4 days straight now, so that's why I'm scared of heading back down the path of eating things I know I shouldn't. Now again, view the positive of it and be like, with all these slip ups, I've been calculated, which I have not normally. So I could view it like this. Maybe, carnivore is like the best improvement I could do. From where I was at, the next best step, honestly, would have just been cutting back one thing or timing what I eat, because that's how like down deep I was into eating like everything and anything whenever I wanted. Like going carnivore and like kind of intermittent fasting with carnivore, like that's a huge step and it takes a lot of discipline. Now I could view it as even what I've been doing these past 4 days with my slip ups, that is still improvement from where I was, and I can be proud of that. Maybe carnivore was a big leap. Maybe, I don't know. I think maybe carnivore was just that tool I needed for 2 to 3 weeks before when I did reintroduce stuff. I'm reintroducing stuff with the discipline of timing. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to do this. I actually really don't want to, because again, I want to stick to being a carnivore. But it's the idea, like, if I'm gonna eat whatever, it needs to be timed, right? Like, if I'm at work, I just need to not eat unless I go on a break, right? Like, if I go on a break, sure, eat. Um, and then maybe the next step would be, you know, don't eat at work, but I can eat after work. But I don't know. It's so many thoughts just went through my brain right there that it might be too much to explain on here. But yes, slipped up again. Yeah, I'm gonna need to think about this because my brain's scrambled now. I'm gonna let you guys go. I've been honest. I'm letting you guys know what's going on. I'll get back to you guys with my thoughts on the matter. More of my thoughts on the matter. It's over a 20-minute video at this point, and I'm gonna meditate on the thought or journal on the thought of how I'm gonna approach getting back on track. Again, I should just stop being a pussy and get back on track. But I'm going to let you guys know and just think about this for a little bit. So I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for listening. Peace out.